Hey girl, hey, it's your girl Queen ShanShan, and this is just a short episode for your holiday listening pleasure. I decided to give you a little taste while I'm on vacation in Cuba of a great interview I had with Robin Kardon. She is the author and novelist of A FLYGIRL, and I think it's a great book that's going to start your year off right. And I wanted to interview her and get her take on her new amazing novel called FLYGIRL. But I also wanted to say, again, have a great holiday. Be safe. Love your family. Kiss your friends. Kiss your lovers. Kiss your children. Kiss the people who are around you. And really say it's been a great 2018. I wish you well. I really thank you for listening to me, Queen ShanShan. Abroad Productions is going to be amazing in 2019, and I'm so glad you're here for the ride. And thanks for listening to Abroad. I'm here with Robin Kardon, author of FLYGIRL. She is the novelist of her own book. And Robin, are you there?
I'm here.
Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview, and I'm so excited about your new book called FLYGIRL. And I wanted just to give the audience a little peep into how you and I met. We met in Australia 2 years ago, right?
That's right.
That's right. And we met when we were in Sydney, Australia, and then we obviously toured the other towns and everything. I didn't get a chance to really get to know you, but I did get to know you more in Costa Rica, which was literally 2 years ago, 2016 January, correct?
It was January 2017. It was almost exactly 2 years ago.
2017.
We had so much fun on that trip.
Yeah, it was really, really a lot of fun. What prompted you to actually go to Australia and then go to Costa Rica with the Singles in Paradise group?
Australia was a trip of a lifetime. It was always a dream to go to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had traveled with Singles in Paradise before. Back in 2011, I went on their famous Tahiti trip, and when they posted the Australia trip, I knew I just had to go.
Mm-hmm. Me too. To Australia has always been a bucket list trip of mine.
Well, I remember when we were communicating on Facebook in the private group that Singles in Paradise set up, the post that you made about how it was a trip of a lifetime and that it was a dream for you. So I was sort of acquainted with you before we even got on the trip because I was reading how much you were really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And it was exactly how I felt. And the Costa Rica trip, honestly, Shannon, that was an impulse buy.
Oh.
I wanted to get away for a few days. They posted that trip. And it was a chance for me to do some things that I had never done before. I signed up for every adventure, and whitewater rafting, canyoneering, bungee jumping, zip lining, ATVing. I had never done any of that before. So it was a fabulous trip for me. And we had a really good time. And thank you for fishing me out of the rapids when I fell out of the raft.
What she's referring to is that we went, one of the excursions we did in Costa Rica, it was in Manuel Antonio, right? When we were in Manuel Antonio. And it was about, an hour out of town in the jungle, in the jungle area. And we went water rafting. It was so much fun. It wasn't like these crazy rapids. It was like, a phase 1, phase 2 type of rapid. And but there was a couple of dips and dives, and Robin, she was sitting right in front of me on the raft, and she fell right in my lap, and we were laughing and just having a good time. But is it a couple times you fell, or was it one time?
Well, I fell on you several times,
right?
And I fell in the rapids just once, and you and Ed and Amy and our guide fished me out. So thanks for that.
so fun. If Ed ever does another trip to Costa Rica, I definitely will sign up again because that was one of my favorite trips, really, Costa Rica.
Well, you know what? I was hoping that he would do it again this January because I really wanted to go.
Yeah.
And that really was one of my favorite trips too.
Yeah.
I would do it again in a minute. So I hope we do get the chance.
Yeah, I didn't really want to go to the Galapagos because that's where he's going in January, the Galapagos, and I'm like, I'll pass. I'm not, I'll see seals and birds and bugs and spiders on a different day,
Yeah, I'm not interested at all in that.
Yeah.
But we're going to Egypt.
I know. So everybody, Robin and I sign up with this group, again, the Singles in Paradise group, and we're going to Egypt in September of next year, next fall. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't wait. You and me in the pyramids.
That's right. Me and you in the pyramids, honey, and Pharaoh, and I cannot wait. So anyways, let's get into your book. Yeah. I want to know, I'm looking at it right now, and thank you so much for shipping me a copy. I really appreciate it. It's a beautiful book. I love the cover. It's super, just really inspiring. Basically, it is a picture of a woman pilot, and the book is called FLYGIRL, a novel by R.D. Kardon, and that's spelled Kardon. And it's a picture of a woman pilot with a plane in front of her. What was what prompted you to write this book, Robin? What was your motivation? What inspired you to write this book?
I wanted to give my readers an authentic peek inside the cockpit from the eyes of a female pilot, and also to show them what it was like trying to be a female pilot in the late 90s and all the obstacles we faced.
Mm-hmm. And
go ahead.
And you were a pilot, right?
Yes. I flew professionally for 12 years all over the world. I flew corporate jets, I flew airliners. The largest airplane I flew professionally was the Boeing 737.
Woo! Get it, Miss Fly Girl. Now so you flew commercial. You flew, like you said, you flew commercially. Like what? American Airlines, Delta. Like who did you fly? Or can you disclose that?
The last airline I flew for professionally was an airline called ATA, which was based in Chicago Midway.
Okay, great. And what prompted you to, after 12 years, were you done? Were you over it? Like what happened after 12 years?
Well, I haven't flown professionally for quite some time. I'm afraid that 9/11, unfortunately, had a very bad effect on my career. When you're a pilot, your career is determined by seniority because it's unionized. And I had started a new job, so I went to the bottom of the seniority list on January 1st, 2001, not knowing what was going to happen 9 months later. So right after 9/11, I got laid off, and I was out of work for a while, got another job, got laid off, and I kept getting laid off. And it was really depressing and frustrating, and because I had a graduate degree and there were other things I could do to support myself, I had to go do them.
Okay. And so after you did that, what has led you up to, this is now 2018, and before we started this interview, you said you've been working on this a year. What was the material that you had to gather in terms of writing this book?
I had actually started taking notes for this book 25 years ago.
Wow.
When I got a job at a corporate flight department, just like my main character, Trish Smile, and my friends and I, other women pilots, were starting to see and hear some things that were a little disturbing and that were really challenging for us. I started writing some things down, some things that had happened, things that people said and did, things that made me feel unwelcome, also things that some really great guys did to have my back and to teach me and train me, and thank goodness for them. But, I started writing some things down, and I decided I wanted to fictionalize them.
Mm-hmm.
So I made up some characters and gave them names, and, fast forward 25 years later, the every single character in the book has the exact same name that I gave them 25 years ago, except for the main character. So in 2015, I realized I finally wanted to finish what I had started so long ago, and I started taking courses on how to actually write a novel.
Good.
I was able to finish the book, and here we are, 4 years later, it's about to be published.
4 years in the making, but really 25 years in the making when you think about it, right?
It was 25 years in the making. I still have the first 83 pages that I wrote way back when that I carried around in a manila folder that said book. And I carried it around and carried it around and carried it around. In 2015, finally started to finish it.
The character's name is Tris Miles. That's spelled T as in Tom, R-I-S. Tris, you said like, or Tris, like kiss? Tris, like kiss?
Yeah,
Tris Miles, M-I-L-E-S. Tris Miles. Why that name, Robin?
Well, I wanted to name my character based on the Latin root for the word noble warrior.
Noble warrior.
Patricia, in Latin means nobility, and Neelise in Latin means warrior, so I decided to name her Patricia Miles, and I wanted to give her a nickname that was unusual, not like Patty or Trish, so I just called her Tris.
Cool. Very cool. And besides what Tris has to deal with, what is the meat of the story? Tris is a pilot in a man's world, let's be honest, in a man's world. And what are the obstacles or challenges that Tris has to face on it, just going to work? What was the challenges that you wrote about that where you experienced personally that you felt needed to be heard? The story, why is it, who is really Tris? Why does your story need to be heard? And what's the takeaway?
The story needs to be heard, especially these days, because Tris and I and a lot of my friends found ourselves in at the time, we could not speak up. If we were treated badly, if we were marginalized, if we were bullied, if we were harassed on the road, if other pilots came on to us, there was an unspoken rule that you could not talk about it, because if you talked about it, if you complained about it, aviation was a very small community, and you would have played what they called the woman card. You instead of being thought of as somebody who has a legitimate complaint about a hostile work environment, you would be considered a troublemaker. So when things like this happened to us, we had to suck it up. We had to get over it. We had to move on. Tris wants to become a captain. She gets a new job in a corporate flight department. She's all excited. She wants to learn everything she can so that she can upgrade to captain and be the pilot in command. And she runs into a brick wall. She runs into someone that's assigned to train her who doesn't think that women belong in the cockpit, period. And in addition to that, she runs into co-workers who seem to want to help her, but who really have their own hidden agendas. And all the time, she's dealing with a tragic loss of someone she loved very, very much, and really feels that she needs to advance to prove to herself that she's worthy and to make up for a very, very bad mistake that she made. So she's motivated by a number of factors, but at the end of the day, all she's really trying to do is move up in her career, and every time she turns the corner, somebody is there to stop her.
Isn't that interesting? Huh. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. I can't relate to that story.
I know, yeah. No, why wouldn't you have any idea?
I don't know what you're talking about because my life is perfect. This is a book of the ages, sister. This is a book that I don't care, man or women can relate to. When you have when you want to rise to the top and you want to do better in your life and you want to strive, and then you have people putting you down. And you have, it's like it's a constant struggle. It's the constant running. And you have John Smith or Joanne Smith saying, nope. And it just makes you tired. It makes you really, really discouraged. And, I can attest to that from what I'm doing now in this podcast and the social media company. I got a lot of feedback, and it wasn't positive. I got people saying, why are you doing a podcast? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And, that made me scared to do something new. So I can appreciate your story, because even though this is a fictionalized story, you lived a lot of these experiences, and this is why you're telling the story, right?
Totally why I'm telling the story. I truly believe that it's a story that needs to be told.
Mm-hmm.
I think that women still have trouble speaking their truth in the workplace because they're concerned about repercussions. And one of the most, for me, one of the most poignant scenes that I wrote in the book is after a terrible trip where there's an actual emergency with the airplane, and she's bullied in the cockpit by another pilot. One of the other pilots on an overnight tries to come onto her, and she's the only one who keeps her cool. When she finally gets home, she's talking to a dear friend, and she's trying to get advice. Well, what do I do? Who do I tell? And the friend says, you don't tell anybody. You'll destroy your career.
Wow.
So and she has to decide, what happens now? Do I speak my truth? Do I just try and become a captain, get certified as a captain, and then move on? What is the next step that I take? And it's a very, very hard decision for her. And I think everyone will be interested to see what she decides.
This is a test. This story is reflective of the Bill Cosbys, of the Harvey Weinsteins, of the the guy from CBS right now, the president, Les Moonves.
Les Moonves.
Yes,
yeah,
this is Janet Jackson, who's on top of her career when she did the Super Bowl halftime with Justin Timberlake. Les Moonves wanted to ruin her career. And just, at the same time, this hypocrite is not getting his $125 million paycheck anymore. Because he has been doing the harassments, and he has been fired from CBS, and, found out all these horrible things that he's done to women, And it's the hypocrisy of this whole, the baby boomer, the men baby boomers, preying on my generation, which I'm considered, the Gen X generation. Then we have the millennials, and after that, do we really, really question why there's so many lawsuits? Why we have a hashtag Me Too movement? Why we have a hashtag Time's Up movement? Why all these men who are in their late 50s or late 60s or late 70s are finally being ratted out for their crimes against women. And even against...
It's about time.
Yeah,
It's about time.
It's about time. And even with Kevin Spacey, he... a gay man. We all knew he was gay. The guy came out whatever happened last year, and this horrible thing that he was accused of with the young Broadway actor. But everybody knew he was gay. He just didn't come out, and he came out the wrong way when he was exposed of his wrongdoing. And then other men and women came out and said, "Yeah, he is a piece of crap." The story rings true, Robin. It's very timely. And what the story that you're talking about when women want to exceed further than they are expected. Back in the day, in my mom's time, everybody wanted to be a flight attendant, a stewardess. No one thought about being a pilot in the 50s, in the 60s, and the 70s. And God forbid you're a woman of color wanted to be a flight attendant. I believe it was TWA back in the day. Now that's American Airlines, I think. They hired their first African-American flight attendant. And that was earth-shattering news.
Right.
That was earth-shattering news that they hired an African-American flight attendant. So a lot of things have come a long way in the, the aviation industry. I have a friend as well who's also transgender. She's a pilot for a commercial airline, and she had to deal with lots of feedback as well, being transgender.
I can't even imagine it. I truly can't even imagine it. The Me Too movement has given a lot of women in the entertainment industry a voice, and thank goodness that they have. And the entertainment industry is leading the way. But I would suggest to you that some of the really entrenched male-dominated industries, like aviation, like financial services,
right,
which you're a part of,
yes, I am.
They're coming along a little bit more slowly. So, to give you an example, I'm a member of Women in Aviation International, which is the largest organization of women in all aspects of aviation in the world. Mm-hmm. And I have been a member for over 20 years. About 3 months ago, 2018, I got an email in my inbox asking, Women in Aviation was asking its members to fill out a confidential survey about harassment in the workplace. In 2018. So I remember shaking my head and thinking, wow, have we made any strides at all?
Any progress?
I do believe, one thing I will say is, and I don't want to make it seem like every guy I ever flew with was like this.
Right.
I remember that 93% of all of the pilots in the United States are men. The types of people that I write about in FLYGIRL are a very, very small percentage. But the point of the story is that even one person in a huge universe can truly have a negative effect on your career. Mm-hmm. It only takes one.
It's so true.
Hundreds of guys that I flew with who were awesome, who taught me things and made me a better pilot, it was always the one or two bad apples.
Isn't that crazy?
That really, it is crazy. And a lot of it is luck. I mean, if you do come across somebody like that, and I did several times in aviation, a lot of it is just bad luck.
Wow. That rings true for, it was so funny. I was listening to another podcast this morning, and they were talking about the influence of praise, influence of you're doing a good job versus you're doing a bad job. And we will take 1 million compliments that we are pretty, that we're successful, that we're doing a good job, that we're skinny, that we're this. But if that one or two people out of the 1 million compliments says, you know what, Shannon, that shirt's a little tight on you today. Or you know what, Shannon, your makeup with that mascara, didn't look good. I am crushed. I'm crushed. Why is that, Robin? Why is it that we can take all these great compliments and positive reviews, but the two, regarding whatever the situation, if it's a negative impact in our life, it is a stamp in our brain and it's the stamp in our heart. Why is that?
A lot of it, I think, perfectionism. Mm-hmm. The fact that many of us, and I include myself in this, grew up thinking we had to be perfect in order to succeed. Mm-hmm. That we were not allowed to make a mistake. Mm-hmm. That if we did make a mistake, the ground would open, we'd get swallowed up, and we'd never be seen or heard from again. I think that's part of it. The other part of it, I think, is a confidence issue. When you hear a negative piece of negative feedback in an area where you are not confident, you tend to take that to heart. You tend to believe it because you already believe it. It's just confirming what you already believe. And I used to think of it as the imposter syndrome, and I realize that's a term of art. But the way I used to think of the imposter syndrome is if somebody doesn't call me on my hair not looking great, or my makeup not looking great, that means I got away with it, it doesn't mean that I look good.
The trick is on you. The trick is on them, huh? The trick.
Yeah. thing I will share, though, and I'm really glad you brought up these studies on praise in the workplace, because it's definitely way past time for it. One of the things I have learned, and it took me a really long time to learn it, is that when somebody is rude to you, and when somebody insults you, or somebody says that skirt's a little tight, that's not about you. It's about them.
Right. That's so true. It's a reflection of the way life used to be.
Sing it, Queen ShanShan.
So, how are you getting? So what's next? The next is now marketing and launching and media. What's the next step? Because what's the official launch date of the book again?
The book is available for sale wherever books are sold on Thursday, January 3rd, 2019.
Yay!
Thursday,
January 3rd.
January 3rd. Yay!
Perfect timing.
And you can buy it. You can buy it online. You can go into any bookstore and order it. So no problem getting it.
Okay.
And I hope that you do. And I hope that whoever does get it really, really enjoys it. And I certainly want to hear from you if you read it. But I have begun to think of publishing a book as essentially starting a business.
Yes.
You have to come up with a concept. You have to create a brand. You have to introduce yourself to the market. Have to make new friends, meet new people, know your target audience. Who are the people that are going to read my books, because this isn't the last one.
Hello?
It's just the first. It's hello?
I said hello. Yes, absolutely. Preach.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not the last one. It's not, it's just the first one. And it's just really, really exciting to see who this resonates with. So I've gotten really active on social media, which I always was. I've always been professionally in sales. Once I stopped flying, I was in sales in one way or another through a consulting business. So I was familiar with social media, but I had to put up a website, and I had to create a blog and a newsletter. I've been interviewed by podcasters such as the Queen ShanShan.
Hello.
I have had articles in the local paper, published in the local paper about me. And tomorrow I'm going to be doing my first television appearance.
And what channel is that? What news channel is that?
Down here in San Diego, our local channel KUSI TV, is going to be doing a segment on FLYGIRL.
Wonderful. Well, you better get that on the social media so we can post that and share that segment on the social medias, on the Facebooks and the Twitters and the Instagram, sister. For sure.
You bet. I love social media. I know that there's a lot of negative press about it right now, especially Facebook. Being someone like yourself who travels a great deal and who meets people all over the world, if it weren't for things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, I don't know how we could keep in touch with these people.
Oh, well, you know what? We did it, though. We did it, 15, 20, 25 years ago, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years ago. We did it. There's a circular event about advertising and branding yourself, and we use whatever the new technology is.
Right.
Back in the day, it was faxing, and now no one even knows the fax machine anymore, hardly. It's a dinosaur. Back in the day.
That's so funny.
Yeah, back in the day we had typewriters, and now it's keyboards, and now it's our smartphones. It's whatever technology is, and we have to utilize that tool to advertise and brand it, because that's what everybody wants to use, the next big thing, the next big tool. So what is, after this is launched and you're marketing your book and you're going on your junkets and you're touring the country, what is the next chapter for Miss Kardon?
Writing a second book, which I already have a draft of that I'm revising and that I hope to release in 2020.
Is this a sequel to this book, or is it a completely different story?
The second book is a standalone story, but yes, it is a sequel to FLYGIRL, and it is book 2 in the FLYGIRL trilogy.
Yay! Well, look at you. Look at you, RK. RK Rowland, look at you. Okay, well, we want that. We want to hear that. We want to do that.
It's totally crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that I believe that, first of all, it's an honor for me to be on this podcast with you.
Oh, thank you.
Say that it's about time that Queen ShanShan decided to broaden her audience because I have to say, girl, you have a really unique perspective.
Thank you.
And there are people out there that need to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. Well, it's been received very, very well, and I really appreciate your support, Robin, from day one of me doing this. I really appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you buying my brother's book. I mean, I love that you bought my brother's book.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I actually really liked it. I mean, first of all, in the first 5 pages, it's all these kids are students that like the book high. I'm like, this is perfect. I have to read this book. I have respect for anyone who does the work to put together a complete story, to get it published,
right.
And to put their name on it. It's a hard thing to do, to stand up there, and you're inviting the public to basically say whatever they want about you.
Exactly.
It's a hard thing to do. So, I mean, I really have so much respect for Theron, and I hope he's super successful.
Me too.
I was happy to do it. I was happy to read it, and I was happy to post a review.
Thank you. It's all about sharing the community, showcasing people's talents, and that is why I'm doing the podcast, A Broad Productions, or A Broad Podcast. Oh my God, I don't even know my own stupid podcast name. A Broadcast Podcast. And then my company, the social media company, A Broad Productions. It's not really about me. It is about sharing and promoting and showcasing and screaming to the top of my lungs. Hey, did you hear about Robin Kardon's book, FLYGIRL? Hey, did you hear about this new store opening up down the street? Hey, did you know about, Kathy starting to dance at something so-and-so studio? Let's go check out her her show, her recital. I love that because when we were kids, we were encouraged to see our neighbors' shows. We were encouraged to see our neighbors and friends' piano recitals. We were encouraged to see the high school play. So that now is a broader scheme of things for me personally, because I want to see people progress. There's a lot of people out there, Robin, that they don't have anybody. They don't have anybody. They're in the world alone, and they want to shine. And so my love of people, my love of talents, is there to be that beacon, that shiny part for them, and saying, here you go, this is my outlet, and I'm going to share it with you. So I really wanted to talk to you about your amazing, awesome story and get it out there and share. Where do people find you on the social media level? Where do people find you on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? What are your social media names?
It is all the same. My social media names are at RDKARDON author, RD Kardon author, and my website is rdkardonauthor.com. So I'm really, really easy to find. And I want to thank you for recognizing the importance of connection and trying to bring that back to the community, because, man, we've really gotten away from it, haven't we? We have. We're just not thinking of the other person anymore. One of the greatest things about becoming a new author is I get to support other authors, and being in the public eye, I get to support other people in the public eye. And you better believe that I'm going to be sharing the news about a broad production.
Woohoo! Preach. We want definitely to pay it forward. So thank you again, Robin. I'm going to end this interview right now and say thank you so much for your time, and good luck with the launch. January 3rd, 2019 is the official launch of FLYGIRL by R.D. Kardon. That's R as in Robert, or R as in Robin, D as in David, and Kardon spelled Kardon. Robin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and we wish you the best. At this point, I want to say thank you to my broads and future broads. You can find me on Instagram at Queen ShanShan, Twitter at _broad_prod, on Facebook at Broad Productions, that's one word. You can also email me for sponsorship opportunities at abroadproductions@gmail.com. Tune in next week for a brand new show with sizzling topics, new tea, and a new perspective from abroad.